Charlie, thank you. Before I even say anything, I'd like to say thank you very much to Mr. Forson, the Create team, all the media men, up and coming artists, established artists, everybody that is interested in knowledge. So let us all clap for ourselves. Yes. Let's clap for ourselves. It would have been nice for us to introduce everyone, but if we do that, by 2 o'clock, we'll still be sitting here. So I will begin with saying my real name is Kwame Siapel. I was born in 1976, 17th April. Yes, so that means in the next 2 months I'll be 44. So I wasn't. Yes. And today we are going to talk about 3 main things. We are going to look at how to build yourself as a brand, as a personal brand, and then how to sustain that brand, and how to use that brand to make money. So these are the 3 things that we are going to talk about. But before that, let me tell you more about myself. So I was born in a place called Ashtown. Do you have any Kose Krum people here? Exactly, sir. I was born in a place called Ashtown, and the Ashtown is a place like Adabraka. It's
from Ashtown to Fantino Town.
Yes, and then from Ashtown I moved to Fantino Town, and all these places that I grew up in the Okyeame type of setting where we have like 50 families in one big house built by some Tete Koko Krachi, and that has 1 toilet and 1 bath.
I know that.
All the 150 people in that one house.
I bet you know.
Yes, you know, Okyeame type of thing. So in that house, there's the hustler that is trying to hustle his things, that his people come there to buy his stuff. We have the sister in the house who is trying to go to London by doing her thing with the burger people in the hood. We have the Krachi in the house who works maybe at Cocoa Board. That's the whole house, where at the end of the month they will give the water bill and the light bill too. Then sometimes they take giving girl, then the people are chasing. We have the owner of the house who is like 70-something years old. That is wicked. Even when children are playing ball, this old man would send them to go and catch the ball. They will cut it into 2. I don't know if you know that efficacy thing. So growing up, I always felt that my father is an accountant. Why do I have to deal with this? Why do I have to live in a place like this? And then we moved from Ashtown. Then we went to Fantino Town, same house, same trouble, same setup, same style. Then I didn't understand. So can't you just save money and build a house so that we can go and live at Asokwa or live in the suburbs or something? So I grew up, I spent all my formative years in Ashtown, Fantino Town, and between say 0 and like 18, I lived from Ashtown to Fantino Town. Now what I didn't know was that because I lived there and I sold rubber bag when I was 5 years old, I would go to as a market and go and sell rubber bag. I had my own shoe shine box. I made my own shoe shine box. I would go and buy polish, and then on vacation I would go through the neighborhood and shine shoe for coins. You know, so I didn't know that this thing that I thought was disturbing me, that was destroying my swag, was the thing that was going to give me the opportunity to meet a lot of people. So inside that house, I saw many things. And with all the experiences that I was getting, I didn't know I was building my library for one day when I become an artist, that no matter how disconnected I become or I get from the streets, I've had so much knowledge working in the streets from 0 that no matter where I get to, whenever I must write a song to touch the hearts of hustlers, like how I used to be, I always know what to say. Thank you. So when you listen to my song also, I'm talking about Okyeame, Afro Shingin, but I'm for the Abomodian, that's a national vibe. You know, who need bank statement, we can imitation, over Faberlin, Hamburg, we are West, no way. Who go do German and Babroni, no way. You know, so I'm talking about all the little, when you listen to my music, apart from the cultural and the poetic and the literature that you find behind, the words that I put in the songs are things that I have experienced myself. And so whenever I do a song like Wara, and I'm talking about the things that this woman has done to me, they are things that I have experienced. And I got the opportunity to experience those things because I was born in the ghetto. So before I even start by, you know, by trying to teach you branding and using my experiences, I want you to appreciate today that wherever you find yourself, whether you are in a mansion or you are in a Okyeame or you are sleeping at the market, that is the exact opportunity God is giving you, so that one day when you grow up or when you develop, no matter what you do, whether you are an accountant or an artist or a doctor, you bring that knowledge to bear. You know, you bring that knowledge to bear. And so I grew up, by the time I was about 10 years old, I lived in a place called Fantino Town. I told you that already. And in my house, we had, there was a nightclub there called Saturday Night Club that became Copacabana. So from Monday to Monday, from morning till night, every time they were playing music. So I got the opportunity to listen to music unwillingly every day. And during all that time, that 10 years that I lived in that house, I built my library of music, from Shalama to jazz to hip hop, reggae, ragamuffin style, high life, everything. Because every time this nightclub is playing music, and our apartment was immediately above the nightclub, so every night we were listening to music and developing a library. I used to ask myself, tomorrow I have an exam, I'm unable to sleep. God, why don't you help me move from here? But God still kept us there because I needed that experience to be able to become Okyeame Kwame someday.
That's right.
So appreciate your beginnings. Another thing that I would say about appreciating beginnings, and when I went to high school, I went to CAS, I was very quiet. In fact, have you seen one of those boys that come to school that the headmaster says, who was Kumura? That was me, invisible. I was that guy that the girls, you know, they didn't book me because when you know that girls, when they are in secondary school, they know which of the boys will become successful. The rich people children. Then all of them will go and be attached to that one. And for us coming from Ashton and Fantino Town, nobody looks at them. It gets to a point that they even want to call you and say, Koton Katiebra, Koto Yogurt Bra. But me, Ashton won't miss Mamsem Koto Yogurt Bra. If we are quiet, but me gangster or what you say. So when ragamuffin style started, I'm talking about early 70s or 80s, because I lived in a nightclub. I was listening to people like Roy, long time Mr. Versatile was born without the day designer. Why? You remember that style? So this is the style that introduced hip hop music to New York. And I know for the rappers in here, you might have heard that rap music started in Jamaica from a certain style called toast, which was developed by DJs or MCs. So whilst the DJ is spinning, it will get to a point where they will loop the dance part, and then the DJ or the MC will be toasting over it. So this style started in Kingston, and then eventually one of them went to New York in the Bronx and he introduced the style. So with rap music, what will happen is that the MC will be praising the DJ. Once the DJ is doing the scratch, so my DJ is best, my DJ is better than the rest DJ, you know. They got to a point where the MC realized that the DJ was getting all the girls. So he started saying that I am the best MC. Then he changed the whole narrative. Then the rapper also became relevant. You know? So that is how rap music started. And around that time, I was born immediately around that time when rap music was starting, because I lived in a nightclub I got the opportunity to be hearing this from. So by the time Shabarangs had become popular, whenever he sneezed, we will catch the fever because every day we are listening to ting-a-ling-a-ling, school girls bring and find back, you know. So I would go to school, even though I was invisible. I would go to school, and whenever I go to entertainment, they will call me Whiskey to come and rap. So I was in class with Lord Kenya, Swazi B. Swazi B was in another school, but he would come and rap with us. Tebo B, Sassy Pack. Remember Sassy Pack from what was his name? We don't remember Sassy Pack. He did this song with the guy man that sings very high. He sings in a very high. Adani Best. Exactly. You know, so as B, Sassy Pack, we used to do rap competitions together. And because I had lived in a nightclub for all my life, every time we go for the competition, I would come first. Then Lavinci named me the Whiskey because I was very small. It's like I'm talking about 13, 14, rapping with older people, and I would come first. Why? Because I got the opportunity to live in a nightclub and had sleepless nights. So all these things that I'm telling you, I'm talking about how to build self. Now let me talk about my parents. My mother was a teacher. My father was an accountant, so straight scratchy man who had studied in Italy. Maybe everything must be French. But because my mother was a teacher, she had understanding in how, you know, children's psychology and what children are supposed to do to be able to grow well. So whilst my father was doing hi, my mother will call you quietly and talk to you to what say, and they will grow. So whilst they got to a point when I started becoming popular, this is somewhere in 1991 or 1990, when I started becoming popular, my father's relatives and my mother's relatives, but my mother always understood. You know, my mother will sit down with my father. So it got to a point where my father got me to tell him that if I am going to allow you to become a musician, then you have to promise me that no matter what, you will go to school. So I made that promise to my father, and then he left me alone. You know, so I told him that one day I will go to school, and then he left me alone. So that is also the combination between my parents. Whilst I was growing up, I got the opportunity. My father would take us to the movies. He would take us. My father used to go to work in the evenings. He would drive his taxi. He would take when the taxi driver comes to park the car, he would take them, put me at the front, and then he would go and do some 2 hours for the next day, chop money before he comes to sleep. So I saw that hustle too in the evenings. So whenever I am writing my music, I tap into all these little things. And then apart from that, where do I get my lyrics for talking about love in the way that I get to speak about it, even though I have not experienced it? Because I lived in a house that had 150 people, that had young people. I saw how the women treated them, how some of the women would start with them from SS, and by the time these boys are hustling, trying to go to London to go and hustle, as a richer man will come for her, or how some of these boys will hustle, go to London and come back and come and dump this one because this one is looking more flashy, you know. So I saw all those things growing up, you know. So I want you to appreciate every single place that God puts you. Yeah. Now let us look at the concept of self. Let's look at the concept of self, because before, the art is an expression of your soul. And your soul is the actual you that lives within your body. You know, so if you do not know who you are inside, it makes it very difficult for you to become an artist, to be able to distinguish yourself. So what is that thing that we call self? Because as an artist, if you are not in touch with yourself, it will be very difficult for you to decide the path that you are on. So there are so many different types of artistic brands that we have in Ghana. Some of them are like I'll call my style, or my type of brand, the cultural style or the corporate style, where when people are looking to take an artist who is not very loud, who understands the way the business world works, and they want me to use for a business or a brand icon, they always come for Okyeame Kwame. And there's a certain reason, because they see me to be like one of them. where we also have that artist who are they just give out energy. Every time you call them, expect an amazing energy. Example of these brands will be Shatawale or Stoneboy or Samini, you know, or Lord Kenya or Okyeame Kwame. You know, whenever you call that artist, you expect a certain vibe, you know, a certain energy, you know. So, and then also we have another type of artist. That artist, whenever you hear that artist name, you expect like something that is really different. Example of such an artist will be what's the name of that artist with the yellow hair? It's a Gamboy. Darko Vibes. Because every time you see a Darko Vibe video, you feel that he's just different. Meboa. Or Joey B. Whenever you see a Joey B video, you hear a Joey B song, you feel that this artist is different. Now there's a new artist called Pion. Obosum Pion. You can see that the young man is just different. And whenever you hear an artist like Daddy Lumba, you think of melodies, you think of some controversy, you think of love, you think of depth, you know. So every artist who has been able to distinguish himself as a major artist like Sack. Whenever you hear Sack, you think of success because he can't stop. This young man is always on the move to do the next thing. So if you are here as an artist and you are going to become successful, because everybody in Ghana or everybody in the world, God has given a certain level of talent for that person to become great. So the next question is, how do you distinguish yourself from everybody who has examples of what you have, so that people will see you? Because resources are limited. So it comes back to the question of self. So as an artist, when you are building your brand, when you sit down with your manager or the people that you are working with, the question that you need to ask yourself is, how do we position to become different from everybody else who is doing something similar to what we are doing? That's the question that you need to ask. And always, I could be wrong, but for me, this is what works for me. Always, the thing that works is that when you go inside yourself and say, me tikwi pa, me pa mamre, and wasem, me person shaking tea, me be beats, me do Ghana, me do Africa. And can we build my brand upon the cultural vibe? Me, me pe reggae, me pe red, gold, green, me pe dance soul, me want dreadlocks, me African, me feel black nobility, me pe black power. So can we build my vibe around the reggae conscious vibe? What you say? Me a cool guy, me was swag, me pe hip hop, me pe rap, me pe urban. So can we build my brand around the hip hop urban style? Because if you do not decide to do one thing, you are going to begin to try to grab onto everything, and then nobody will ever see you, because you know it is really expensive to shoot one music video. So if the whole year you are going to spend say 10,000 or 20,000 on shooting one music video, you must make sure that the elements that you put in that music video explicitly depict exactly who you are. Because if people do not find you to be different, if they don't find you to be distinctive, they will not pay money to see you, because everybody can put a CD in and listen to music in their homes. But what is that one thing that will let people at home feel your vibe so much that whenever they mention your name, people are going into their pockets? It's when you have been able to identify yourself as a unique individual. Thank you. As a unique individual. So when I started rapping, I remember that I used to think I was special. You know, as a rapper, you want to think that, yeah, me is special. But as I grew up, I realized that it is not special. It is different. You have to be different. So this brings me to the word brand. I know that we all use the word brand. So when we say brand, who can help me with the definition of brand? Okay, I'll go ahead because of time. A brand is something, a totem, a sign, a symbol, a sound that represents something and helps that thing to distinguish itself from all its competitors. So a brand is a sound, a color, a totem, a sign, anything that represents one thing and helps that thing to distinguish itself from every other thing. So the concept of the concept of branding started way back in Egypt when they developed and businesses became popular. People would have cows or cattle, and how would they know that this cattle belongs to Article 1? Because how would we know that this cattle belongs to Article 1 and not Mr. Forson? By branding it. So they will put something in fire and brand the thing so that it will have a mark. So when you go to Europe, the synonym for branding is marker, something that marks something. So once you have marked it as but the Article 1 there, most Article 1 a stamp a bomb. And some of the popular brands that we are all used to will be Nike, Coca-Cola, Adidas, Africa, the brand. Adomba Fashion. Okay. New York City is a brand. Ghana is a brand. Okay, is a brand. Create is a brand. So now that we know that what a branding is something that marks something. So let us look at a human being. So for a human being to become a brand, we cannot take something and go and mark his forehead and say this is Article 1. So how are we going to make sure that we develop Mr. Article 1 as a brand? So the first one, because brand means mark, the first thing that we will do is to find a logo for Article 1. Is to find a logo, and with the logo it will do something, or it will help us to know who the image Article 1 is. Now once we have found the logo, that logo must represent exactly everything that Article 1 is. It's all share. If he's a hot guy, the logo must tell. And how do you use the logo to explain what Article 1 is? If Article 1 is a hot guy and he has a lot of energy, we will see things like red or orange. If he's a powerful guy, you see colors like black. If he wants to say that I'm a cool guy, you see colors like white. If he wants to say I'm fresh, I believe in new start, you see green. You know, so all the colors that God created, they have very, very, very little meanings that you can take and attach to yourself to make you different from everybody else. So in the logo, you see colors. In the logo, you see signs, you see symbols. All those things mean something. Please, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Are you with me?
Yes.
Are you feeling it?
Yes.
Okay, is it adding something to what you know already? Sure. Because if I don't, and I've failed here, and I've let you all come to sit down under the sun for nothing. Thank you. So beyond the logo, now that is the brand image. Beyond the logo, we must go to something that we call the brand story. The brand story. So my brand story is, I am Okyeame Kwame, born in the 70s, became popular in the 90s in Kumasi, who uses tree.